And we've got people joining us from all over the world. Here they come around the bend. And we've got, let's see who we've got in here. Attendees, we've got Jennifer and Luann and Mamadou and Grace. And then we've got Melody and Bonnie and we've got Mike and Morris. Welcome to the Barton webinar. I'm sounding like a horse racing announcer. You know, I got to start off every time a little different. So welcome everybody. Tell us where you're from. Enter in the, wait. It's kind of horse racing / auctioneer. Like, isn't your father-in-law an auctioneer?
He is. I mean, you sound just like him.
Yeah, right. I probably sound like cringeworthy. He'd probably be like, "Oh, get this guy out of here."
No.
Well, welcome everybody to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. It's Joe here and Leslie from sunny South Dakota. It's a beautiful day. And yesterday, Leslie and Tyler brought their children over to my house and we did some amazing video recording. I'm excited about that. I had a great time. I think Selah did as well.
Oh my goodness, you guys, my daughter is 9 and this was like her big acting debut. She was so excited. She practiced her lines. She's still practicing them even though we're done.
Oh yes, that was great. I wonder if I could do a little screen share quick to show.
Yeah.
Let me see here. We got a lot of positive comments on that. Is this it? Yes. All right. Here is a sneak peek. Let me share my screen of what we did yesterday. Oh man, I think my computer is having issues. Let's try this. Allow Zoom to share your screen. Open system preferences. Okay, this might not work as easily as I thought. 1 second, please bear with me. Meanwhile, say hello in the chat. Tell us how you're doing. Tell us, oh man. Zoom will not be able to record the contents of your screen until it's quit. Okay, never mind. I guess I can't screen share. Dang it. Well, I was excited to show you all a little footage from yesterday's recording with Selah. Oh man, now I can't even hear you.
No, I was on mute.
Oh, there we go.
So it won't let you show. I mean, I suppose you could show the Facebook pictures. That wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, I couldn't share my screen though for some reason.
Oh, at all.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good morning, Dr. Saunders. Well, we'll just have to leave people hanging, I guess, with that. And well, post them in the Barton Webinar Facebook page. How's that sound?
There you go.
There we go. Then we can get more people over to our Facebook page, which we want anyways.
All right. That's good.
Dr. Saunders, how are you today?
Great. Great.
All right.
Good.
Fantastic. Well, we are happy to be here. This is the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. And this is the Diabetes Solution Kit, which oh, here it is. This bad boy right here. And we are talking about the phase 1 program for type 2 reversal. We use foods, diet, and other natural methods to reverse type 2 because we don't like the side effects that medications cause. That's the biggest thing. People don't like drugs and medications. It really, diabetes is not a drug deficiency, right? Am I right? So that's why we're here. We're here to help people that have type 2 to learn how best to get rid of it.
Yeah,
right,
they have a synochroma deficiency.
Well, that does help people that have deficiencies for sure. But
you know, actually, that's true. That's because the things in there like chromium deficiency, very common, selenium, very common, vanadium, very common. These are common deficiencies that do prevent you from using sugar well and contribute to getting high blood sugar. So actually, a lot of people do have a synochroma deficiency.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is there's a reason that this is our top selling product, Synochroma. This is our blood sugar support formula that you can get from Barton Nutrition or bartonwebinar.com, either one. And it's gotten hundreds, if not thousands of 5-star ratings and testimonials, for sure hundreds. And so we get feedback all the time of how it's helping. We just got a testimonial the other day from the CEO of a large trucking organization or association, and he networks with 230,000 truck drivers. And he himself had diabetes, and he started taking Synachroma. And within 60 days, 2 months, his A1C went from 9 to 6. And he's
Wow.
and he also followed, the plan in here. So eating lower carb. So that combined with Synachroma was amazing. And the reason he got a hold of us, he's like, I need to let the truck drivers know about this. And I'm like, well, we'd love to help you with that. So that's
what we do.
That's what we do. So yeah. Anyways, quick disclaimer. This is for informational purposes only. We are not your doctors. So everybody has their own situations, but we give great information, and anything you do with it is your own fault. So Dr. Saunders, today we're going to talk about stress and insulin. And I'm kind of hurrying right now because last week we had a lot of questions come in that we didn't have time to get to. And so that's one of the big purposes for this webinar, is so that we can have the people that are attending ask their questions and get them answered. And so we're going to leave 40 minutes today. In about 12 more minutes or so from now, we're going to just open it up for questions. And so if you have questions, type them in the Q&A section on Zoom, or in the comments section in Facebook, or in the chat. And Leslie, the star of the show, will be gathering them and asking them to Dr. Saunders, and we'll get to those very soon. But let's talk about stress and insulin and blood sugar and diabetes. Dr. Saunders.
Okay, stress. Okay, if we were to look at the impact of various things on our health, and that's human beings in general, and we were put it on a scale of 1 to 100, like a percentage scale per 100. Drugs would be somewhere around 3%. Some put it up as high as 15%. But actually, if you take out the ones where the drugs do damage, it really gets down to a very small amount, 3%. Food is really important, and that might be 20 or 30. Exercise is really important, somewhere in the 20, 30, 40s. And all the supplements we take, we spend hundreds, thousands, millions of dollars, and in our country, billions of dollars on supplements. And that has about the impact of food. And that's important, because a lot of the problems that human beings have had over the centuries have been from deficiencies. And so the supplements are important. But if you take all of that put together, it pales in comparison to stress. Stress has so much more. That would be in the 80, 90. It would be way up there of the effect that it has on our bodies. Why is that? Because stress, the hormones that are produced from stress or that cause stress are catabolic hormones. They break down the body. And since these catabolic hormones are causing, it's just like driving a car. Think of it this way. If you're driving your car, you are breaking down your car, whether you like it or not. You could be super careful, driving only 20 miles an hour, and never go, just driving to church once a week, whatever. But the miles you're putting on your car, you're still wearing out your tires. You're still wearing out the seats you're sitting in. Your engine is still getting hot. You're still getting dirt in your oil. All of this stuff, the toxins are building up in your engine. The everything is wearing out because you're driving your car. I had a roommate when I was in college who, when he was going to college, he was from a small town in Utah. And his mom was telling the next door neighbor, oh, yeah, we wanted to get him a car, but we couldn't afford to get him a car, and going away to college. And the neighbor says, well, I got a car. It's in the barn. And so it turned out that 40 years earlier, her husband had died, and he had just bought a brand new DeSoto. They pushed the DeSoto into the barn, covered it up, and left it there for, I don't know, 30 years, whatever it was. And so they towed the car to a mechanic, and he just did a few little adjustments here and there, and started up, vroom. And so my roommate got a brand new convertible DeSoto in 1985 or whatever, 84 or whatever it was. Anyway, so because it had never been driven. So if you're stressed, if you're doing stuff, if your eating is stressful, if you're thinking, that's stressful, if your eyes are open, if it's light outside, that's stressful. All of the, we think of stress as just, I have too much to do and not enough time to do it, or I have so much pressure on me from whatever problems I'm having. But that's not always the case. In fact, that's a small part of our stressors compared to the daily, everyday. So it's just like driving your car. If you're driving your car, you're stressing it out, and you're going to have to repair it at some point. So what we have that cars don't have is every single night we get to fix everything. We get to repair everything. You're wearing out your joints during the day. At night, they repair, but only if you're anabolic. So all of that stress has to go away. It has to be dark. You have to be asleep by 10 o'clock. You have to not be eating. You have to have an empty stomach so that you make a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is made when your stomach is empty. Even drinking water will cause you to stop making ghrelin. So how do you know you're making ghrelin? You're hungry. If you say, gosh, I'm so hungry, yay, that means you can get anabolic. That means you can rebuild and repair. It's just like when you take your car into the mechanic, you can't say, well, I'm going to sit here with the car on while you take all the gaskets off. And the mechanic's like, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to turn off the car, let it cool down, and then we're going to take all the gaskets off. That's exactly what your body does. If you're eating, if you're up, if you're awake, if you're thinking, if you're doing stuff, if you're worried, if you have any kind of stressors, you are not going to be repairing. You don't repair until you shut the whole thing down. And that means going to bed by 10, not eating, going to bed with an empty stomach. That means making melatonin, which means it has to be dark. You can't be on your screens till midnight. That's not going to work. Even if you're in bed, that's still enough stress to prevent you from making those hormones that are the anabolic hormones that rebuild. And what's really cool about that is they repair everything. They repair your brain. They repair your joints. So why do people get joint replacements? They need joint replacements because they've never repaired their joints, because they're going to bed at midnight and they're stressed all day and all night, and they eat right before they go to bed. So they never repair. Whereas if during sleep, especially the early hours of sleep, you get that human growth hormone, then you get the repair mechanisms and you fix the joints. So you never have to have joint replacements. You fix the brain so you never get Alzheimer's. You fix your nervous system. All of those overuse syndromes are just people not getting anabolic. They're always catabolic, breaking down. It's like driving your car for 1 million miles and never stopping. It's of course it's always breaking down. Right? So stress is the single most important factor in your health. And then, Joe wanted me to talk about diabetes too, by the way. And the stress hormones, these same hormones that are catabolic, they make you resistant to insulin. Well, what is type 2? Insulin resistance syndrome. That's all it is. So stress can have a huge factor. In fact, I've often told, I don't know if you guys probably remember the story of Julie. She was a little overweight, and she liked her sodas. She was drinking and all, and her diabetes was never controlled until her daughter moved out. When her daughter moved out of the house, they became best friends. When they were together in the house, they were always at each other's throats. But as soon as her daughter moved out, they became best friends. She's calling, "Hi, Mom, how you doing?" La, la, la. So, 0 time. But then now that I look at stress and how important it is, man, you guys, if you're doing this diabetes solution kit and you're following it perfectly and your blood sugar's not going down, one of the things that you have to look at is, are you a stress diabetic? Some people are just like Julie was just a stress diabetic. Yeah, she was a little overweight. She had a little insulin resistance, but when she was not stressed, she had normal blood sugar. Normal. That's the amazing thing.
That is awesome.
So let's do questions.
Yeah, that's great. Dr. Saunders, your video is glitching out a little bit, but it's probably 90% good.
Dang it.
I think. So
got most of it.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, no, we got 90 to 95% of it. So yeah, it was really good.
The 5% you missed, that was the best part.
Oh yeah, for sure. It always happens that way. So yeah, let's get into some questions. Let's do it.
All right, guys. So we have quite a few questions. So we are going to get these rolling quickly. Hopefully we can get to maybe all of them. We'll see.
Actually,
okay.
Could I just quick butt in one quick time? So
maybe we won't get to all of them, but I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I still have 1 minute. Okay. So I want to just give an overview of the basics of this program. Chatting with somebody that said, I haven't had time to read this yet. Okay. Here's what you need to know. Step number one is identify what is your reason why. But one of the first steps is to reduce your carbohydrate intake to 20 grams per day. 20 grams net carbs. So that means if you eat something with 30 grams of carbs and it has 10 grams of fiber, you can reduce that 10 from the 30 and you get your 20. But that is the basics of this plan. And so start doing that. And then also the game changer is the 6-10 reset, which is stop eating by 6 p.m. and go to sleep every night at 10 o'clock p.m. on an empty stomach. Bada boom, bada bing, you'll see your blood sugar numbers and your insulin levels go down into normal ranges very quickly, depending on your own specifics. But that's it. And to learn more, read the whole thing. So I just wanted to share that.
Awesome. And there is a question that came in. Someone was asking, I'm getting up 3 times a night. How can I get good quality sleep when this keeps happening? And I would say the first thing I would try, those 2 things Joe just mentioned, following the low carb phase 1, but then also the 6-10. Once your body is empty by 6, you probably will sleep a lot better. So that would be my recommendation. I am not a doctor, but that'd be my recommendation to do first. And Dr. Saunders can add to it if he has anything else.
I'm not a doctor, but I'm the star of the doctor show.
Yeah.
So
I like it. That's good.
So, yeah. So if you're having to get up at night to urinate, if you have to pee a lot, then not drinking in the evening. And sometimes I had somebody who did 1 full day with no water, and she said she slept for the first time in 10 years. She slept all night after only 1 day without drinking so much water. So people are often told to drink too much water, and so they're downing all this water, and they deplete their kidneys, the gradient in their kidneys, so that they can't concentrate urine, and they're up all night peeing. So sometimes it's just a water thing, but other times you can use something like melatonin. Is actually a pretty safe thing to use for sleep. That seems to work. For some people, it's great. Other people say, it didn't help at all. But anyway, something to try.
Is melatonin okay to use long term, or is it just?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it's amazing. Melatonin, is like the more melatonin, the less likely you are to have neurologic diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and multiple sclerosis. So adding in more melatonin actually, even long term, has been shown to be helpful in the nervous system and the brain.
Wow. Okay, great. We had a question about that too. So we're just hammering through these questions, guys. This is wonderful. Okay. Is the diabetes solution kit the same as the diabetes detox program? Joe, I'm going to let you answer that.
Yeah, the only difference there is the diabetes detox masterclass, I believe it's called, includes the 6 video series that Dr. Saunders did for us. So it is the same program. It just has different messaging about it, and you get the videos for free. If you want those videos and you already purchased this, send us a message on our Facebook page and we will hook you up with those as a freebie.
Awesome. Okay, question from Connie. This came in on Facebook on our Barton webinar page. If you haven't gone to that, actually it's a private group. You should go to that, join. There's a lot of good questions and things happening there. But Connie says, I would like to know, please, if the Nervala is okay to take when you are on blood thinners like Xarelto.
Okay. So this has been something of an issue that has come up where a lot of doctors are saying, oh, don't take cinnamon if you're on any kind of blood thinners because it can cause too much bleeding. There's cinnamon has something called coumarol or coumarin or dicoumarol that is similar to warfarin, which is a blood thinner. It inhibits vitamin K and decreases clotting factors. So a lot of people are like, well, I don't know, is this going to cause too much bleeding? We use what's called Ceylon cinnamon, which is the type that doesn't have the dicoumarol. It's a very tiny amount of coumarins, which is not going to affect the clotting factors at all, especially if you take vitamin K. And so you can take vitamin K and take the Cinnachroma, and it's not going to affect your bleeding. There are the other kinds of cinnamon, the cassia type cinnamon has a lot more of that coumarin in it, which also isn't a big issue because if you're taking warfarin, you're going to test and see where you are. And so, even people like eating cabbage and kale and stuff that has a lot of vitamin K, you can still take Coumadin and you just test and get your level and see where you are. So that is one way of you. The point is you don't have to worry about it, even if you are on blood thinners.
Okay, and she had also mentioned Nervala.
Yeah, and Nervala. Yeah, absolutely. Nervala is no problem at all. Nervala is vitamin B, B1, and alpha lipoic acid, both of which are fine and are not going to be a problem.
Okay. Okay, next question. This is from Denise. I am asking this question on behalf of my husband, Jeff. We have ordered Cinnachroma, Turmeric BP, Niagara XL, Nervala, Healthy Gut, and iodine. Does he take all of this every day at the same time?
Let me see. Iodine. Yeah, that's okay. Actually, yeah, that you could. It's okay to take them at the same time. There isn't anything in there that's going to interact or have any problems. If you don't want to, if you want to spread them out, that's okay too. But I don't think that's going to make a difference.
If you take all of them at once, would that be something you should maybe not take on an empty stomach then?
Let's see. Some of the things like Cinnachroma is the reason we ask you to take it with breakfast in the morning is so you get the benefits of the lower blood sugar during the day, but also the fat soluble vitamins like vitamin D are better absorbed if you have them with something of a meal that has some fat in it. So then having that fat in the meal is helpful.
Well, hello there. So today's webinar is actually sponsored by my hoodie. This says "Come and See," and this isn't an official endorsement by this brand, but I just wanted to give a shout out to my favorite TV series that has ever been made, and it's called The Chosen. And this is my favorite. Like, it portrays Jesus as with his disciples, and it shows the interactions with his disciples and with the people, and it shows Jesus in a way that I've never seen before, in a just a tender, loving, compassionate, everyday Israelite, I guess. And you can watch it for free. So I highly recommend, if you haven't seen the Chosen series, you can go check it out. There's an app that you can download called The Chosen. You can watch it on VidAngel. They have some episodes on YouTube, but I just wanted to share a little bit about it. Like, I bought the hoodie. I love it so much. So this is a pretty cool story. This morning, actually yesterday, I got this in the mail. I ordered it a week or two ago. And I put it on this morning, and my wife asked me, what's Come and See from? And she thought it was when Mary went to the grave and then went and told the disciples that he was not in the grave anymore. And I said, well, actually, I think it's from the verse where he was talking to Nathaniel, and I couldn't remember exactly. Well, anyways, this morning I was doing my devotional, and I'm using this, The Chosen Devo, 40 Days with Jesus, and today's Devo, which I later found out after I put this on and after she asked me, today's Devo is called Come and See. And it kind of blew me away. And it was a reminder that, Jesus is still active and alive and present. And when I saw this, it just made my heart leap and made me laugh. And so the story goes that Philip, who was one of Jesus's disciples, was telling his friend Nathaniel about the Messiah that he found. And he said he was the son of Mary and Joseph, and he was one that followed the law and who Moses and the law prophesied about, and that he was from Nazareth. And Nathaniel's answer was, can anything good come from Nazareth? So Nazareth was a town of regular people, nothing special, not highly educated. They were fishermen, they were tax collectors, farmers, you name it, just regular folks. And they didn't have like high education standards or anything like that. So when Nathaniel said, can anything good come from Nazareth? He was saying, like, why would the Messiah come from such a lowly town? Well, and Philip's answer was, come and see. So Philip had spent some time with Jesus already and realized, like, this was self-explanatory. Once you see Jesus in action and once you follow him and live life with him, it is a great adventure. And so that is my invitation to you, is not only to go watch the Chosen series, but to really come and see what it's like to live with Jesus. And that means coming to him with all of your life's questions and problems and concerns, and accepting him as your Lord and Savior, because Jesus truly is the only one who gives eternal life. And with Barton Publishing and Barton Nutrition, we help people with their temporal life, the life in this world right now. But we don't do a whole lot for the afterlife. And that's where Jesus comes in. Jesus gives you life now, but he also gives eternal life. And I would just like to encourage you highly, if you haven't already, to come and see what that means. Find a Bible, read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and watch the Chosen series and come and see. That's it. All right, back to the webinar.
Okay, so I have, let's see, some questions here from, I believe these were from Meg on, actually, Marge. I think these were from Marge on Facebook. Okay, the first question is about amino acid utilization, or AAU. Most of us are working only to the lowest level of the ratio of 8 essential amino acids that we get from our food. No food is perfectly balanced, so those essential 8 are always imbalanced. Therefore, is it true that the rest of the protein and essential amino acids eaten beyond that lowest balanced daily level do get changed into carbohydrates or sugars? And is this the reason it happens even before the liver contributes?
Maybe. It's not that simple because sometimes amino acids are converted into sugar, like branched chain amino acids go into the muscles and they're made into energy right away. So some of them are. And then other amino acids like glutamine are made into sugar, but only if you have like glucagon. So if your insulin is dropping low and your glucagon starts going up, and that's your pancreas putting out the glucagon saying make more sugar. And then the amino acids, especially glutamine, is made into sugar and then used as sugar. So the answer to that question is yes and no. If you don't have glucagon, then only the branched chain amino acids go into the muscles and are used as energy source. So yeah, sometimes, but that's that's actually important for some people, because some people do that and they make a lot of sugar out of their protein. So they're on a high protein diet, and they're doing the diabetes reversal kit phase 1, and they're doing this very low carbohydrate diet, and their blood sugars are not going down. And it turns out that all this protein that they're eating, like tons of protein, and all that protein is being made into sugar. So sometimes some people are going to have low carb, and they're going to have to cut down on their protein and limit the amount of protein they eat in order to get their blood sugars into the 70 to 90 range.
Okay. Douglas says that he stopped taking metformin and lisinopril and simvastatin. Is it okay to do that?
Okay. This is where you work with your doctor and you say, okay, my blood sugars are getting low. Can I stop metformin? My blood pressure is getting down too low. Can I stop lisinopril? My cholesterol is too low. Can I stop simvastatin? So that's where you work with your doctor individually. So for me to tell Douglas, that's okay to stop taking them. Well, it might be if you don't need them. If all of your numbers are normal, yeah, you don't need them. That's fine. But I don't know what your numbers are, so I can't advise you on how you should take it. So that's why you have your healthcare professional to work with and to do the test and say, oh yeah, you don't need that anymore. You're good. That's the way to do it.
Okay. Robin says, more is said about type 2 diabetes. What is your best suggestion for those that have type 1?
Oh, okay. Type 1. This is interesting. So I've been reading a lot on type 1 lately. What kinds of things can you do differently? Well, the Diabetes Solution Kit also helps type 1 in many different ways. For example, in type 1, you can get insulin resistance as well. Yeah, you're injecting your own insulin, but you can need more and more and more insulin over time and create problems such as Alzheimer's disease and kidney failure, heart disease, because the insulin contributes to that. So getting your insulin needs down and making your body very sensitive to insulin is a great way to do that. Now, there are a couple of programs that work really well that improve insulin resistance by having a low-fat diet. So for type 1, you may consider that if you have any insulin resistance, if you're injecting more than, say, 20 units a day in total, you may want to look into decreasing your insulin resistance by using a low-fat diet and a high fiber. So a very high fiber diet, and what's amazing is these people can go on, 300 grams of carbohydrates a day, but they don't get any fat. So they get very sensitive to their insulin, and they can keep their insulin they can keep their blood sugar stable on low levels of insulin, which is optimal.
Okay. Another question here from Marge. Brassicas and thyroid. If thyroid issues are suspected and lab tests are unavailable under health insurance, while I save for private testing, are brassica foods such as cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbages, bok choy, etc., going to become goiterogenic and impose a threat to my thyroid? If I can use them, which I do already, should I limit their intake in any amount or daily use? Many of these are on the free food list or the 5 carbs or less list. So they're a basic foundation for so many meals.
Yeah, okay. So this is actually a really important point, and that is the brassica vegetables are goitrogenic. And what goitrogenic means is they cause goiters. What's a goiter? Well, it's enlargement of the thyroid gland. And why does the thyroid gland get enlarged? Because of low iodine. So when it was found that most Americans were deficient in iodine, and then if they eat these brassica vegetables, which binds to the iodine, it creates complexes with iodine. So then they would start getting goiters. So what's the answer? Eat all the brassica vegetables you want and just take a dose of iodine. You know what? It's really easy. Iodine is so easy to get, and it's so benign and so good for you, and you should probably be taking it anyway. Most Americans are deficient in iodine. And it's one of those rare ones that it's hard to get too much of it. They have the doses now, and I saw one in the store, health food store, was 50 milligrams. And, the average dose is like 300 micrograms. They are 30 micrograms. They're very tiny amounts, and yet you can get these pills with 50 milligrams, which is a huge dose of iodine. And guess what happens? Well, if you have enough iodine in your body, then you can collect your urine for the next 24 hours, and all 50 milligrams are going to come out in your urine in the next 24 hours. That's how benign it is. That means it doesn't build up and become toxic in any way. So just eat your brassica vegetables and take some iodine. It's easy.
Okay, question from Grace. As we get older, do we need more sleep to repair more, or are we just less able to sleep? Example, waking up in the night.
Oh, that's a great question. Because statistically speaking, now just following people along in studies, they've shown that the amount of sleep declines. And if you look, there's a graph, and it's a really cool graph. Little babies, when they're first born, are like 14 hours a day of sleeping, but kind of like in a nappy time, not necessarily all 14 hours at once. And then that kind of drops down. And then in childhood, 8, 9, 10, and all that, most children need about 8 hours or so. But then in adolescence, that goes up again. So then you have this curve of a lot of sleep, drops down, and then goes back up quickly during adolescence. To most adolescents need 12 hours, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours, somewhere in there. So they actually do sleep more. And then from there, it drops down in adulthood around 8 hours of sleep. but continues to decline slowly over time. So older people sleeping 5 or 6 hours a night. I had somebody who was going to bed early, like 8 or 9 o'clock, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and saying, I can't get back to sleep. So I asked, are you tired? No. Do you fall asleep in meetings? No. Do you get tired and sleepy while you're driving or sitting still? No. Are you sleepy at all? Do you take naps? No, I feel fine. No fatigue, no tiredness or anything during the day. I said, then that's how you know you have enough sleep. There was a long pause. And then he's like, what am I going to do at 2 o'clock in the morning? And I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Write a book.
But yeah.
That's what I was just thinking. That's funny.
That's funny. That's
Here's
what
your
I
sign.
did. I wrote a book. So yes, actually people do sleep less as they age. The need for sleep seems to go down. And the only way you can know is ask the question, am I sleepy during the day? Or if I sit still for a little while, do I conk out? Then that's probably you're not getting enough sleep at night.
Okay. Coney says, I stop eating at 6 p.m. and go to bed at 11, but I drink a lot of water as I have kidney problems. I take pills, cannot go all day without water.
Okay. Stop eating, go to bed at 11. I drink lots of water for kidney problems. Okay. Depends on what the kidney problem is, but sometimes the kidneys do better if you don't drink too much water. If you're on a lower protein diet and have a little less water, or what's a really good kidney program is to be on the low protein, low water diet and getting all your water from vegetables and fruits. So if you're not juice, but actually eating the fruits and vegetables and getting your water that way. So you don't have to go without water all day, but drinking less water is often helpful in spite of what you're told, because most people are, if they're on the low salt and drinking a lot of water, they'll deplete their kidneys of salt. And that's kind of important, that there be enough salt in the kidneys to be able to concentrate the urine.
Okay. We have someone who says, I have been having problems with constipation. I just received your gut health support or gut health supplement yesterday and took one with dinner this morning. I went beautifully. It felt so good. Thank you for creating a product. Just wanted to confirm with Dr. Saunders that I should take one with every meal.
Yes, one with every meal. That's the best way to take that, because it has enzymes in it, and that's what it does. It helps you digest your food. Yeah.
Awesome. And again, you guys, you can go to bartonwebinar.com. Joe posted about that, but that's where you'll find all these supplements if you want to know some more or get some more information about those. Let's see. I'm going to go to my next question here. Mike says, Dr. Saunders, why does my blood sugar level sometimes, or why is it sometimes between 100 and 110 around 11:30 at night? Because you should be sleeping. When I'm fasting, 8 p.m. to noon the next day. Okay, when I'm consuming zero sugars and extremely low carb, 5 to 20 per day. I read all the labels on food. 80% goes back on the shelf when food shopping. I may need to reread this.
Okay, so the question is, why is the blood sugar 100 to 110? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so why is my blood sugar level sometimes between 100 and 110 around 11:30 p.m. when I'm fasting 8 p.m. to noon the next day?
Huh. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, well, 100 to 110, that could be normal. You know, after eating, that's great. That's what it should be. So if you're eating low carb and that's happening, that's fine.
So it sounds like he's kind of doing intermittent fasting.
Yeah,
Just fasting all morning.
And it could be a little bit of stress related, like we talked about earlier, like
Mhm.
if there's something going on. Yeah.
All right, another good question. To get melatonin, do you take it as a supplement or is it available in any food?
Well, it is in some foods, but in small amounts. It's made in your gut, in the intestines, in your body. It's actually made in a lot of different in your skin. It's melatonin is not exclusive to the brain, but to add it in, there isn't any food that is significantly additive. That's so yeah, supplements. And the supplements range widely from you get the little 0.5 doses, 1 milligram, 2, 3, 5 milligrams are often there. But, I've had people on 10 milligrams, which is a pretty high dose of melatonin.
Okay, here's a question about your temperature. This came up a little bit in our webinar last week. Realizing you had said that people have very normal basic metabolic temperature ranges. Is there still a temperature range that is too low and thereby opens the chance for more chances of any infection access? I'm rarely ill, but I seem to be dipping lower this week. And I want to know if 97.4 is still okay. I usually run about 97.8.
Yeah, that's really interesting. People who are on the lower temperature in the 97s are actually have some advantage in longevity over people who are 98 or 99. People who are 96, 97, whether it's from low thyroid or just because they tend to run low temperatures, they don't make as much oxygen-free radicals. It's kind of like, you're driving your car. I like this car analogy, huh? You're driving your car, and if you were driving your car on nitromethane, you would have a very hot engine, and you're going the same speed, but your engine's hotter, and so it's going to wear out a lot faster. And whereas if you're driving your car on diesel fuel, then it's a lower temperature burning fuel, and so you can run it for a million miles on an engine with that. So having the lower temperature, actually, you produce less oxygen-free radicals. You don't wear out as fast, but there's the disadvantage if you have a slower metabolism. So you need less food, which is a good thing, unless people like to eat, right? And they gain weight. So having the lower temperature by itself does not portend to any kind of illness or anything like getting more infections or anything like that I know of.
Okay. Brian is asking if one should drink water if when they wake up, they have a dry mouth from the night.
Okay. Probably not the water. Probably from what at night, when your blood vessels dilate, then you tend to be somewhat dehydrated. Doesn't mean that you need more water necessarily. But there's another issue there, and that is mouth breathing. If you're breathing through your mouth and you have really dry mouth, then that is a problem actually for sleep. And so I've had several patients read a book called Breath. The author is Nestor, and he talks about that. And they actually plugged their nose and breathing through their mouth exclusively for a period of time just messed up their health, and they became very stressed. But the other option is tape your mouth closed at night and breathe through your nose all night long, and see if that doesn't make a difference. But yeah, if you have dry mouth when you wake up, doesn't mean you need more before you go to bed. Just wake up and drink.
I actually have an acquaintance whose younger child was having a lot of problems during the day with focus and attention, and found out he was a mouth breather, wasn't getting good quality sleep, and they actually taped his mouth shut at night and changed his whole world. So
I
I'm not
wish I could
recommending
do that
that
with my
you do right
kids.
away, but yeah,
I tape my kid's mouth shut during the day. That worked great.
they're so much better now.
Good.
I'm a
Joe, good.
homeschool mom, so it's tempting some days, guys. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Bonnie says, I just got my A1C back at 5.5. My LDL also came back at 120. Now the doctor wants me to take a statin. What can I do naturally instead?
Okay. There are several things. Wow. Good. 5.5. That's great. That's not diabetes. That's really good. And then the 120. It's kind of interesting that below 150 is what is the old way. They used to say the LDL below 150 is okay. And then they said 120. Now it's 100, and they're even saying 70 is best. When actually, if you look at the research, people who have lower cholesterol, the total cholesterol is lower, have a greater chance of dying. Their death rate goes up with lower cholesterol. In fact, you're worse off having low cholesterol than you are having high cholesterol. But the cardiologists look at it differently. The cardiologists say, well, the rate of heart disease drops down as your cholesterol drops down, and that's true. But you die for other reasons if you have low cholesterol. So that's something you don't want. So, what should you do instead? Okay, if you want to lower the cholesterol, a high fiber diet is the best way by far, and that's been shown multiple studies. You can even reverse heart disease. I often do a test on my patients called a coronary calcium score. It looks at the calcium in the arteries of the heart with a CAT scan, a CT scan. And if that number is 0, then the research shows statins are useless. They won't help anybody. So you're better off. So if you do the test and it's 0, then you just say, well, obviously I don't need a statin. So that's what I do for my patients. So if you want to ask your doctor for a coronary calcium score, that's one way to do it. The other way is if you just want to lower your cholesterol, a high fiber diet, very high fiber.
Okay. 2 things I see. Joe's wearing, I think it says Chosen on the back, and it was just reminding me of the Chosen series. That is super good. If you have not watched that, it's so good.
It is.
I
I
agree.
love it.
Yeah.
Also, are you wearing Zubaz, Joe?
What are you talking about?
Oh my goodness.
Woo! It's the NFL draft day today, and I'm supporting my favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings. Why not?
We're pretty
Zubaz.
boring people. Nothing exciting happens here with us, guys. I mean,
My brother actually used to work for Zubaz for a little while, a couple of
Really?
years ago. Yeah.
they were
I think-
so cool.
Yeah, he hooked me up with these pants, and it's good stuff.
It is good.
I'm going to butt in here. Seems how you
Yep.
brought me back into this. Thanks, everybody. So we are talking about fiber. You talk about fiber quite a bit, Dr. Saunders, and it is hard to get enough fiber in your diet. Like you recommend 40 grams a day, right?
Yeah, that's optimal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're eating like chopped Brussels sprouts and cabbage and kale, like it's not as much fiber as you think. Like I think it's like 6 to 8 grams or something like that. So you'd have to eat like 7 salads a day. But we are formulating a fiber / greens product, which I've never seen anybody do that before. Maybe there's a good reason for it, but I think it's going to be great. But we're talking about flavoring. I would love to hear your feedback if you're watching this. Green apple or Arnold Palmer, which would be like a lemon ginger lemonade. Like Arnold Palmer is lemonade and unsweetened tea. So lemon ginger tastes like Arnold Palmer. What do you think? Tell us in the chat. Green apple or Arnold Palmer?
You should have both.
Or both.
Because Yeah, because then you have options. You don't have to have the same flavor every single time.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what I said too.
I like that. Okay. That's kind of what I was leaning towards anyways. Figure we'll do them both. Give some
Let's see what
options.
people say. There might be an overwhelming one that's chosen here. So
I got one more question. Okay, so we talked about insulin a little bit, but so you are a big proponent of not eating anything that's too sweet or sweet at all, because the sweetness is what increases your insulin production, and your pancreas secretes insulin, right? So when we're formulating this product, we don't want to have it too sweet, even if we're using like stevia or some sort of a low 0-calorie sweetener. Could you talk about that, and is it okay, like let's say that you're in phase 2 after you've kind of gotten your blood sugar levels back down into normal range, is it okay to have some of that sweetener, or how do we deal with this?
Okay. Thank you for asking. That's actually really important. And that's something that I haven't always talked about when I talk about sweetness and saying, avoid sweet. Okay. Yeah, avoid sweet. But, it's a little different because we live in a society where everything is sweet. You buy gravy or you go to a restaurant and they put gravy on your potatoes and they put sugar in the gravy. And it's sweet, and you get chips with nacho cheese flavoring, and they put sugar in that, and so everything in our food is sweet. So that's where the problem comes in. If you have an occasional sweet thing, that's not an issue. If you eat fruit, that's not an issue. If you have a smoothie with a bunch of fruit in it and you put honey in it, that's not an issue. The occasional sweetness, even if it's once a day occasional, then it's okay. It is the constant barrage of everything being sweet that is causing a lot of these problems. So yes, I rail against all the sugar and the sweetness and all that stuff, but for heaven's sakes, we need insulin. We need it, but we become more insulin resistant as this constant, like 5 meals a day with snacks in between, and every snack has to be sweet, and every meal has to have sweet, and everything has to have ketchup on it or barbecue sauce or something that's like pure high fructose corn syrup. That's where the problem comes in. So then people, they take that, okay, I'm going to take the high fructose corn syrup out and I'm going to put stevia in. And so every drink I have, I have coffee with a ton of stevia in it and artificial sweeteners, then everything's still sweet. And then that's where the problem comes in. So it's not that you can never have anything sweet. It's that if you have occasional sweets, that's great. But if it has to be every single meal and every single thing you have, I had somebody that said, I can't drink water. It's not sweet. I can't get it down. I'm like, what? Who can't get water down? I know. Try not drinking anything for 3 days and see how much water you can get down.
Well, that is a great distinction. Thanks for sharing that. And Leslie, make a note of that. Let's put this as one of the FAQs on our Barton webinar page, because I need to go back and watch that myself. But that's great. It's good to hear too, that, okay, we don't have to get rid of all sweets forever. It's more like get rid of most of the sweets, but every once in a while it's okay. So that's helpful.
Sort of just learning to see how your body reacts to things is the most important part. So,
yeah.
Okay. So many more questions, guys. Here we go. We'll see what we can do. It's a toss up on the green apple and Arnold Palmer at this point. So a lot of people want both.
Yeah.
A lot of people want both. So.
Okay. We'll do both.
Okay. Let's see. Does Nervala work for all nerve damage or only diabetic?
It works for other nerve damage too, for other reasons, but it's specific to mostly decreased blood flow. So if the nerves aren't getting enough energy the ALA helps the mitochondria work better to make more energy, and the benfotiamine helps the blood flow to improve the circulation. So if those are the cause, then it's very useful. However, there are other reasons. People get viruses like herpes viruses and Epstein-Barr viruses and things that damage nerves. And it may not be as useful for those kinds of things because that's a different issue altogether. For those kind of things, I use like high-dose B vitamins, especially B12 and folic acid or methylfolate to decrease inflammation in the nerves. So yeah, the Nervala is great for any kind of neuropathy that's caused by that circulation or mitochondrial deficit.
Okay, Amos is asking if my sugar level is 110 and I'm about to eat breakfast. Should I take my insulin prior to eating breakfast, or should I take it after I eat?
Generally, if it's a fast-acting insulin, I'm assuming it's a fast-acting insulin, you're going to take it prior to the time you eat anyway. 110 is decent. But the action of the insulin generally takes a half hour or so anyway. So if you take your insulin just prior or just after, either way, it's not going to be a big deal.
Okay. If my urine is constantly cloudy, is that an indication of some type of problem with my kidneys?
Not necessarily, but it could be, and not necessarily kidneys. Sometimes cloudiness in the urine is caused by calcium crystals that form, calcium oxalate crystals especially. So you might look at if you're getting a lot of oxalic acid, like from kale and spinach and greens and other vegetables that have a lot of oxalic acid. And if you do, then take a magnesium supplement with your food, because that'll bind the oxalic acid in your intestines and it won't come out in the urine. So yeah, so it could mean you have an infection in the urine, but there's other reasons for it too. And I'm just mentioning one other reason, which is a common one, which is crystals.
Okay. Can you suggest anything to help with water retention?
Yes. The best thing for water retention, there's all kinds of herbal supplements and all kinds of drugs to help urinate more. But you know what? The best way for water retention is exercise. Exercising is really good, and if your legs swell up or anything, then consider also doing some fluid restriction, like part of like only drinking a certain amount of water during the day. We usually limit people who have water retention in the hospital or in the nursing home to less than a liter a day, which is about a quart of water.
Okay. Question from Susan, who I believe is having surgery soon. Hi again. Is there any way to avoid, lymphedema after surgery?
Yeah, a lot of that edema happens because during surgery they're putting all these IVs in, and so you're getting all this extra water. And the lymphedema happens because of the poor circulation. You're not moving around and doing stuff. The lymph system works with movement. So if you have more movement, so the best thing to prevent lymphedema in that kind of a case is movement. In fact, it's been shown that the sooner people move around, the better they heal.
Okay. Note from Meg, I use kelp, dulse, and other seaweeds for iodine. Just a note.
Good choice.
Okay.
I agree.
All right, Ernie, relative to the C-peptide test, will injecting Lantus give a false reading?
C-peptide, no, but insulin, yes. That's a good question, Ernie. Okay, so C-peptide is the peptide that's left over, that's broken off when the pancreas makes insulin. So it is a completely different kind. It's not even insulin. It's not related to Lantus or any other insulin. But the Lantus may give false readings for insulin levels. Thank you. That's really good. So your C-peptide's a better choice for determining how much your pancreas is functioning.
Okay. Last night, my husband, who takes metformin, had a blood sugar 2 hours after dinner at 79. But first time this morning was 157. Why is that?
We get that question a lot. Okay, so 79 is normal. What that generally means is that after dinner, the pancreas put out insulin. So the insulin goes up, the sugar goes up first, then the insulin goes up, and then the sugar drops down. But the insulin takes a little longer to drop down. So then as the insulin goes down, the sugar's getting a little bit too low. So the pancreas puts out a lot of glucagon, and glucagon says, make more sugar. So the liver puts out a bunch more sugar. So then by the morning time, you're 157 because the liver's been putting out this sugar overnight. That's why.
Well, hello there. So today's webinar is actually sponsored by my hoodie. This says "Come and See," and this isn't an official endorsement by this brand, but I just wanted to give a shout out to my favorite TV series that has ever been made, and it's called The Chosen. And this is my favorite. Like, it portrays Jesus as with his disciples, and it shows the interactions with his disciples and with the people, and it shows Jesus in a way that I've never seen before, in a just a tender, loving, compassionate, everyday Israelite, I guess. And you can watch it for free. So I highly recommend, if you haven't seen the Chosen series, you can go check it out. There's an app that you can download called The Chosen. You can watch it on VidAngel. They have some episodes on YouTube, but I just wanted to share a little bit about it. Like, I bought the hoodie. I love it so much. So this is a pretty cool story. This morning, actually yesterday, I got this in the mail. I ordered it a week or two ago, and I put it on this morning, and my wife asked me, what's Come and See from? And she thought it was when Mary went to the grave and then went and told the disciples that he was not in the grave anymore. And I said, well, actually, I think it's from the verse where he was talking to Nathaniel, and I couldn't remember exactly. Well, anyways, this morning I was doing my devotional, and I'm using this, The Chosen Devo, 40 Days with Jesus. And today's Devo, which I later found out after I put this on and after she asked me, today's Devo is called Come and See. And it kind of blew me away. And it was a reminder that, Jesus is still active and alive and present. And when I saw this, it just made my heart leap and made me laugh. And so the story goes that Philip, who was one of Jesus's disciples, was telling his friend Nathaniel about the Messiah that he found. And he said he was the son of Mary and Joseph, and he was one that followed the law and who Moses and the law prophesied about, and that he was from Nazareth. And Nathaniel's answer was, can anything good come from Nazareth? So Nazareth was a town of regular people, nothing special, not highly educated. They were fishermen, they were tax collectors, farmers, you name it, just regular folks. And they didn't have like high education standards or anything like that. So when Nathaniel said, can anything good come from Nazareth? He was saying, like, why would the Messiah come from such a lowly town? Well, and Philip's answer was, come and see. So Philip had spent some time with Jesus already and realized, like, this was self-explanatory. Once you see Jesus in action and once you follow him and live life with him, it is a great adventure. And so that is my invitation to you, is not only to go watch the Chosen series, but to really come and see what it's like to live with Jesus. And that means coming to him with all of your life's questions and problems and concerns, and accepting him as your Lord and Savior, because Jesus truly is the only one who gives eternal life. And with Barton Publishing and Barton Nutrition, we help people with their temporal life, the life in this world right now. But we don't do a whole lot for the afterlife. And that's where Jesus comes in. Jesus gives you life now, but he also gives eternal life. And I would just like to encourage you highly, if you haven't already, to come and see what that means. Find a Bible, read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and watch the Chosen series and come and see. That's it. All right, back to the webinar.
Henry says, is whey protein good for a type 2 diabetic?
It's okay. Whey protein is okay. Most of the proteins are junk food, and I don't recommend like adding protein in. Protein comes from food. That's a good place to get it. You don't need extra.
Okay.
Most people don't. Some people do.
We're past our time with you, so I think we better let you go, which is always hard because we have more questions and so many things we want to learn. But guess what, guys? You're in luck. We're here every week. So we'll keep making more time for a lot of these questions. They're so good. I am learning so much from this. So thank you so much. And any comments from you, Joe?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Saunders. I'll stay on for a minute and give people more resources where they can get them. So,
you're welcome. See ya.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So yes, today is episode number 88, and we have done this since August of 2019, I believe. And so we've got a lot of questions that have been answered by Dr. Saunders. And if you want to go to our YouTube channel, that's the place to go and search. I think if you go to Barton Webinar, bartonwebinar.com, and then click on the YouTube link, and then inside of YouTube there, you can search in our channel and find keywords of your question, and might be able to find that. So most of our webinars are what do you call it, where we give like the keywords and table of contents sort of a thing for each one. So go in there, check it out. If you want to be like one of our favorites, Chris, he has watched like almost every single episode now. I think he just like enjoys listening to our voice. That must be it. It must be soothing. And but he's
knowledge is power, so he's taking advantage of it. He knows if he's going to change his life, he's getting as much information as he can. So
yeah, and that's the other thing too. So Chris shared a testimonial with us one time on the chat in Zoom, as did a few others, and we were in tears like reading it, and then we interviewed him on Zoom and heard his story, got him on camera. Well, that's really when the tears flowed. So hearing like his story from on his deathbed to getting his A1C and blood sugars under control in just a matter of months following this program. And that really helped us. It just helps us to know that we're doing good and helping people. That's, one of our core values. And so if that's you, if you have a story to share, we would love to hear from you and do a Zoom recording. So it's kind of late in the day right now to ask you to share your story on chat, but anytime if you feel like you have a success story to share that would be helpful for others, we would love to hop on a private Zoom video with you and record that. And then we share that on YouTube as well. So anyways, I think best way to do that would just join us on the Facebook page, the Barton Webinar Facebook page. Or you can email Leslie directly. She just shared her email address in the chat there, and we would love to hear from you. So we're trying to record more videos. We share it with our team, we share it with our customers, and we share it with people that are checking us out, kicking the tires to see like, hey, are we a legit company? And I think everybody that's attended these webinars can see, like, yeah, we really do care about people, and we are helping people, and we're getting questions answered, and we're seeing amazing success story. So yeah, that's it. Anyways, so James, you had asked about how to get those free videos of Dr. Scott. If you can hop on our Facebook page and just make a comment in there, and I think we'll be able to share a link to those in the
Actually,
Facebook channel.
I think the easiest way might be, that's a group on Facebook, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So I have to do all the approvals for that, which I need to do today. So if you're in the
Okay.
Barton webinar group, or message me there, and then I'll add you to that group.
Yeah.
Or actually, that might not, maybe that isn't the best way to do it. Just do what Joe said. Just do what Joe said.
Yeah, reach out on Facebook, James, and anybody else that wants those Dr. Saunders videos that are recorded. And so they're just short little, like 3 to 5 minute videos where he kind of walks through the Diabetes Solution Kit program. And then the last video of him is actually him. I like to call it the pantry raider video. He goes into somebody's kitchen and looks in their pantry and talks about, like, yeah, this isn't so good, let's get rid of this. And then he goes to the grocery store and says, here's what you should be eating. So it's pretty helpful stuff, and we'd be happy to give that to you if you're already a customer of the Diabetes Solution Kit. So all right, I think that's it. Go Vikings.